Hello and welcome back to Focus Atlanta. Thanks so much for continuing to watch. In this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about maternal mortality. I am here with Dr. Catherine Sachs. Dr. Sachs, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I have to say, here in Georgia, the numbers are terrible in terms of maternal mortality. What can you tell us about what, if anything, can be done about something like that?
Well, the big contributor to maternal mortality are the social determinants of health. So targeting things like chronic disease, prenatal care, even healthcare before someone becomes pregnant, those are incredibly important to reducing maternal mortality.
So if as a state, our numbers are already low in terms of, I don't know, women going to the doctor, women receiving care prior to learning that they're pregnant, our mortality rates are going to be kind of in the tank.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Oh my goodness. So in terms of what we as a community can do, what are our steps to making sure that we are taking care of our moms or our young ladies who are going to be young moms?
I think what's most important is really understanding the numbers. As good as our data is on mortality, for every person who dies, there are a number of near miss events. So people who experience severe maternal morbidity rather than mortality. But there's no easy way to track that. So even maternal mortality statistics, they're pretty good in America, but they're not perfect. So really investing in the data infrastructure so we know these numbers, especially going forward. We've seen a really sharp increase in mortality in the last few years, particularly from 2020 to 2021. So we really want to make sure we're capturing every instance of death and every instance of near death.
Okay. And again, when we look at the numbers, when we look at reports, it seems that it's a minority women often. It's minority females who are really suffering from these terrible numbers. To that point, should we be doing more education? Is there more outreach? What as a community should we focus on in terms of making sure that those numbers aren't so terrible for, Black women and Latina women and other minorities?
Sure. In the United States, it really is Black women and American Indian and Alaska Native women who are experiencing the worst rates. So one of the things that we found in our recent report is that in the South, actually, the racial disparities are lower than they are nationwide. But the two exceptions to that were Georgia and North Carolina. So Georgia actually does have a higher Black-white disparity than the US nationwide. So there's a lot of things that can be done. Certainly there's something to be said for targeting point of care. Bias in healthcare is a big problem. Toxicity during the experience of giving birth and in the postpartum period, listening to Black people, Black women is extremely important. But there's also these social factors. So things like I said earlier, targeting chronic disease, an increasing portion of maternal mortality is cardiovascular related. So cardiovascular health is something that's really important in minority women in particular.
Wow. Is there a place where we can learn a little about what the Milken Institute is documenting and how they're learning these things? And again, kind of put ourselves in a position to, I don't know, I guess I'm a fan of if you know better, you do better. But having more information hopefully will lead us to a better place, better outcomes, better alternatives. Is there a website where we can go?
Sure. Our recent report is available on the Milken Institute website. That's looking at maternal mortality in extremely vulnerable America. So the 10 states in the southeast of the United States, including Georgia. And that is freely available on our website. And we'll have links within it to other sources of excellent data and scholarly resources.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And, I think that sometimes from my perspective, the more we know, the better we can do in terms of, just learning what those numbers look like and learning why they look like that. We can do better, even if not for ourselves, for the next generation. We don't want Georgia to be on that list forever. So, so thanks so much for coming on the show.
Williams in Georgia in 2021, there were 96 people who died of maternal related events. So that's almost 100 people in the state of Georgia alone.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing the information. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Knowing is, I guess, at least the first step. If we know a little bit better, we can do a little bit better. We've got to take care of our moms. Take the opportunity to go to the website, learn a little bit more about this report, and see how it affects you and your family and the people that you love. Thanks so much for tuning in to this segment of Focus Atlanta. We'll be right back with more.